So I've worked my entire career in higher education, first at universities in different parts of the United States, and most recently in community colleges, or sometimes in Europe, they're referred to as TVET institutions. And in the community colleges, these are 2-year schools in the university, instead of a 4-year university. And in many community colleges, the students have almost no resources, and that creates access problems. So they don't have enough money to purchase education resources. The faculty and the students have limited opportunities to participate in modifying the resources or making these resources their own. And that creates agency problems. So they don't have the legal rights to make modifications or to exert their own educational will on the content. What we did in the community colleges in Washington State, where I live, is that we took our entire degree program, our Associates of Science degree, and we moved it to open education resources. And so what that means is we took all of our highest enrolled courses and we looked at how much money our students had to spend on textbooks to take those courses. So we had about 500,000 students in these 34 community colleges. They were spending about $141 million a year buying educational resources, which was very expensive. And in many cases, they didn't have the money. And so they were not able to fully participate in the course. So we took other people's educational resources that were Creative Commons licensed. So we took content from MIT. We took content from, we took content from the University of Barcelona. We took content from all over the world. And then we modified it to meet the needs of our students. And we took those costs from $141 million much lower, and in many cases it was free. And so I was working on this project, and at the same time, Creative Commons was looking for a new director of open education, and so I received that job opportunity, and I've been at Creative Commons now for just about 10 years.
10 years. Many years. Okay.
The other thing that happened right before I came to Creative Commons was, and maybe we'll talk about this later, but governments around the world and foundations are increasingly adopting what they call open licensing policies. So 10 years ago, or actually it was about 12 years ago, in the United States, the US Department of Labor put out a grant. So this was 2008. There was a global economic crisis caused by my country. We apologize. Wall Street, right? Wall Street tanked in 2008, and it caused economic chaos all over the world, including in the United States. And so the U.S. Department of Labor put out a grant for $2 billion. So it was $2 billion US. And the grant was for US community colleges to create new academic programs to retrain American workers into new careers because their old jobs were lost. And one of the things the US Department of Labor does is it looks forward into the future, 5-10 years into the future, and it anticipates what the new jobs will be. And so in 2008, as their jobs were in green technology and windmill technicians and building better batteries for hybrid vehicles, things like that. And so they put out $2 billion of grant. What's different about this grant is they put a Creative Commons open licensing requirement on the outputs of the grant to, the community college in Houston, Texas. Here's $20 million for you to go build a new nursing program. However, because this is public money and the taxpayers of the United States provided all this money, everybody, the public, should have access to your nursing program. So we'll give you the $20 million, you build it the way that you want to. And what's different, and you keep the copyright as well, but you also need to add a Creative Commons attribution license to the degree program so that everybody else, not just in the United States, but around the world, can take this nursing degree program and use it as well. And that was a condition of the grant. And so I was working in the community colleges in Washington State. We received some of this grant money. And what I was worried about, as somebody who had just started to learn about open education, I had just started to learn about Creative Commons licensing. I knew that very few of these community colleges around the United States understood what open licensing was, knew what Creative Commons was, and I was afraid that this $2 billion, which was meant to produce open educational resources, that it would not, that the grantees would not be compliant, would not understand, and would not implement the open licensing requirement. And so we put together a team, including Creative Commons and the State Board of Education where I worked in Washington State, and Carnegie Mellon University and several other partners. And we put together support services for all 800 community colleges that received these grants and supported them so that they did understand what the open licensing was. And then I went to Creative Commons. I forgot that important step.